24 horse motor. I'll throttle it up once I get past this truck. Down on horsepower. I mean, obviously you're going to slow down a little bit,
right?
But I didn't feel like it was so dramatic that that motor was, this is 24 horse. Most of the time I'm mowing with 30 or above mower, and stuff. So I'm pretty surprised that felt as good, because what a lot of people can't see is how steep this hill really is, especially once you get over the vantage point. Like you're pointing down significantly. So I'll take them on a ride on, and they can kind of see and hear me talk that way. All right, so I'm gonna take you guys now on a ride along. Like I was saying, this thing, to be down on horsepower as it is, it's really not that big of a, that bad of a deal. My heels are pretty big, so you can see here. One thing I like is I can really feel that front end working. Like it feels phenomenal. It's not rocking side to side or anything. It's taking all the bumps out before I get into them. Let me throttle this thing up. And I'm doing this with one hand, but really well too. Like, it feels good in the hand. You can see its stripe right there. It's laying down a great stripe. We're cutting it 4 3/4. That I notice about the front end suspension is when you get off camber, it'll let you get off camber without you feeling like you're getting wheel spin in the rear. So I really like that. It reminds me of the Ferris a whole lot. And this suspension is really similar, but this has a solid rear end where the Ferris does not. That's wide open with the pumps right there. I mean, it's keeping its RPM just fine. So you can see the cut right there. Look across through there. See the discharge. It's going about 3 or 4 over. We'll do a couple of cuts here and we'll look at the discharge. This is a 61-inch cut. There's the stripes. I'll back up and show you. I mean, it seems like it's striping really well. We'll see how the Altoz does in the stripe, because both of them are 61-inch deck. You can see the stripe here. I mowed quite a few so people could see them. And we, coming up the hill, I figure with 24 horse on something like that it would lose RPM pretty well. But
it held its RPM pretty good unless you floored it, and then, you know, it's going to drop RPM, but it has a really good sweet spot. And like I said, you can't tell on these hills how hilly they are, but I'll show you the other way, which you can't see the stripe this way because the sun's opposing it. But on your discharge, like I said, through here, you've got some stragglers and you got a little overlay through this, but this yard, like I said, it's really thick right now and it's overgrown, and you can kind of see some of it laying on top of the longer pieces or whatever you want to say about that. And I could raise the deck up and cut it even smoother, but I wanted to give it a challenge, being as, you know, you're going to buy this mower and cut everything with it. But for the most part, like I said, it held its RPM extremely well. And I noticed, I don't think that it has a high lift blade. Does it have a high lift blade?
It's a standard.
It's just a standard. That's what I thought. It's just a standard lift blade. So if you put a high lift on it, it would drag the RPM more, and you probably wouldn't be able to climb the hill as fast, but you would clip off a lot more of the little mohawk pieces. And on this, in this stripe, I floored it to go up through there. So you can see on the other ones, you're not getting near as many little scragglers on it. Whereas these two, you're getting a lot more scragglers. And that machine runs about 8 to 10 mile an hour. I'm not really sure exactly what it'll run. But it didn't feel significantly slow in comparison to, you know, the mowers I've been mowing with. It is slower, but it's not something crazy bad. But you can see it through here. So this is the last run. And as we go across, the discharge on it, I would say was going 3 to maybe some 4 on the discharge side of it, of how far it would kick out, which is, like I said, that mower is in a pro consumer level mower. But you can see this yard, and you can see it hasn't been mowed in about a week and a half. I'm cutting it 4 3/4, and you can see all the seed head and how thick. I don't know if you can tell in video, but as I go up through there, the grass is from, I mean, hand height above where the top of the seed head is, where we're cutting at. But we'll take the Altoz, do the same cut, and kind of show you guys that, so you can see how it looks with the Altoz, which it has a Evo motor, which is what my Hustler X-Ride runs. And if you guys are new to the channel, most of the time I run a Hustler X-Ride with it, but the Hustler let me down and one of my spindles went out in less than 50 hours. Hopefully that's just a fluke. The last couple Hustlers I've had have been great, but maybe someone made it on Friday and they decided it didn't need any grease. I'm not really sure. So now we're going to take the Altoz. Both of these have a suspension that is in the front like we was talking about. I think that this style setup or something similar to this is going to be the future of mowers, for the simple reason that a lot of these mower companies have suspension platforms, like where the seat rides on a platform. The problem with that is it is okay for the end user, like it takes the buck out of the end user, but it doesn't take the buck out of the deck or the steering. So you still bounce the whole mower, whereas these actually follow the contour of the ground. And I absolutely love that. Like driving this, I can tell you, it reminds me so much of how I felt on that Ferris, and it gives you such a confident feel in your driving. It literally takes what we people call on vehicles the bump steer out of it, because the problem with a normal mower, even the platform ones, when you hit and you jar, it not only jars the whole thing, it moves your steering column and all that. So if you're going fast, you still have the bump, and your mower takes it brutally in the bottom carriage, whereas this contours and takes the bump out. This felt so good, so I'm excited to see how this does. So I'm going to take you guys for a ride along on this, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put the deck at 4 3/4. I didn't measure these because we're not really pitting these two against each other today. We're just trying to see how these feel and how these cut in general. So this one, you push this forward, push this left side, it drops the deck. So now we're at 4 3/4, and we're going to fire this machine up and see how it does. This has the 34 horse Evo on it, so I'm excited to see how this does on this area here. This has the parking brake you got to kick off like that. I like how you can see the RPM right there. That's a nice touch. What I've done is I cut like 5 or 6 passes over there with this one. I left 2 gaps. These both have a 61-inch deck. So I left 2 gaps with that deck, and then we're gonna cut from here over 5 or 6 and see how it feels. I'm gonna wait till I get past his truck before I make this thing rev up. As far as the suspension goes, I prefer this arm setup, and I can really tell that one does. It definitely helps, but it just doesn't have as much of like the way it can relieve the pressure, and there's still a little bit of an incremental, rise that you can put on this. So, you could raise that up a little bit more, making that softer. Maybe you want to try that. This, I do feel like, as the Evo, like if that had the Evo, I would like to see the two cut-wise, because this one felt like it cut and discharged and kept its RPM so much better. But it's got a way bigger motor. And like I said, if you're on a machine that you go from 30, and I'm used to 30-some horse, so this is right up my alley because I've ran the Evo on the last mower that I've had for a long time now. But as far as the ride quality, that mower rides better, and it just feels smoother because you don't get that bump steer in the handlebars. Like I said, when you're hitting and you're riding and you're feeling that terrain. Because and even I did both of them with one hand, but you can see how squirrely it made me, because every time I would hit a bump, this still would kind of rise and kick a little bit. Where that one, it just seemed like it could track so smooth, and the steering on it felt so smooth on there. And it could be somehow they make the dampening on the pads, but I really believe it's just from that mower is so smooth, like how it tracks, how the handlebars feel and everything. I do feel like this deck with that much horsepower definitely cut smoother and didn't have any trouble with the discharge or anything, because I don't see really anything on there. But that's not really anything to do against Wright. That's not got a 34 horse motor on it, and it's not fuel injected or anything like that. All I'm saying is, you know, the bigger motor helps, and I would like to see the two kind of go hand in hand with the same motor. Do they? Can you get that motor? Is that the biggest motor you can get on it?
So right now, what that is,
Right, it's price point.
That's a major price point,
Right?
Because you're getting all those features under 10 grand.
Right, right.
National promo's $99.99 on that unit.
So what he's saying is these right now are a $1 less than $10,000 mower, and you're getting all that for the price of that. So you're getting the suspension, you're getting the 3400s and things of that nature on that mower, and you're staying below $10,000. So you can get a really good riding mower and go and cut. And like I said, this grass is extremely thick, and we're cutting it high. So you know, you're gonna have to have good suction and vacuum. Both these mowers, if you put a high lift blade on them, they would cut even better. They just have a normal, you know, blade on them. But for, like I said, what we're doing, you could cut this yard just fine with it. You may have to slow down or do some things a little bit different, but also this is nothing but hillside. So you're taking a 24 horse motor and running it up some, you know, most people would say this is some, I mean, once you get on this point, especially, like, you don't want to really mow much more than that. So that's pretty neat how those two function and work. I was really impressed with how everything felt working together on that Wright. Yep. I really did like that. And I think the Altoz, like I said, it works really good too. It's not saying anything against the Altoz, but I'm just saying the way the arm setup is, you're not getting as big a A-arm swing on it travel-wise as you are on the Wright, or at least it didn't feel that way. I don't know what the numbers are travel-wise on those, but I think that shock is a little stiffer than what comes on that Wright over there.
Well, comparatively, you know, to put it in perspective, this is like comparing, you know, a Scag Patriot. Something, yes. This is in the class of a Scag Patriot or a Toro 2000.
I think a lot of people are going to like this unit, and I think if you go and drive it, you'll really understand what I mean, because it just is so smooth. The handlebars, the dampening, the way they've got it set up with this shock, it is. Like I said, I think that you're going to see a lot more mowers try to adapt stuff like this to their mowers, because this is really the only way that you remove the actual bump, because it can follow the train, whereas a Cheetah, an X-Ride, a ZTX, a lot of these platform mowers, they have the platform, but the platform's what's moving. You still get that jolt and that jar through the front end and rear end, where this one has that whole thing that takes that out. So that is, like I said, I like that. So what we're going to see is how this suspension droops whenever he hits the you can see it just wiggles just a little bit, but you don't really see a whole lot on there that's going down. It's still pretty tight, but it gives you a little bit of leeway, so you're not really worried about scalping on this. Do you feel like that this scalps or anything?
Not really.
I didn't feel like it moved hardly at all. You got a little bit, but it's not, I mean, nothing dramatic at all. Cool. So what we're showcasing is how these droop in this, and you can see the shock compact. Now he's going to run it down through here and stop really hard and see if we can get any scalp in it. Try it over here. So I don't think it's scalping either. He's just got it cutting low. I don't see any difference. You can see where the deck, you can see the nose of the deck, how the blades are. That's wild how it's not straight across. One blade is so much further than the other. Look at that. See if we see any scalping areas. What he's trying to do is manipulate it enough that it'll shift the deck. But like we was talking about, that little part right there kicks the deck up when one side puts pressure to it. So it makes it extremely hard for it to scalp. And I don't see anywhere that it's scalping. Like I said, he cut different on these two, but it's not scalping. It's just that's how low he's cutting, and you can see that across through there everywhere he's went. I didn't see it scalp at all.
No, and in turns is one place that'll really tell, like if you're taking a sharp around a tree or something.
And then kick your...
Yeah, like the older Ferrises would...
Right.
Corner would dip.
That's what everybody talked about.
I've not had that on these at all.
Yeah, no, it's... You can, like I said, you can definitely tell this suspension gives you so much more leeway. Like, I can watch that shock. Like, it'll close itself out. Like, I could watch this. I did it in slow-mo. You can watch this, like, almost collapse to full length of the piston. So, and you can stiffen this. Like I said, if you're getting too much leeway on this, you can run this around all the way to the end of this, giving you another ½ inch of preload in there. And every time you put that deeper and deeper, it's crazy how much more stiff these shocks become. But I think they've really done their R&D on these shocks, because these shocks ride better than those. And maybe it's the setup. Like I said, it's just, you know, you're going to have to figure out what mower works for you. But I'm really impressed with the ride of this, and I like this mower a lot. We're going to put it in the grass and drop the deck down to 4, which is 1 inch or 1/4 inch, a 1/4 inch below where he's at, and see if he stops real hard, if it makes any like dramatic divot in the grass. I don't really see anything. And what he's doing is he's coming to a real hard stop to see if he sees like any of the deck give you a scalping effect. But I don't see the deck moving at all. So that's what all these suspension platforms everybody's worried about, is like, do they have it figured out to where it doesn't scalp? Like I was showing in the cut, you can see Wright's deck, the blades are vastly different than others. You can see it cuts there, there, and there. The front one sticks out way further, and you can see that in their deck. And what he was saying is Wright keeps their mowers shorter. One, you can get more on a trailer, and two, you can trim better than most mowers is their claim with it, because you can see how much gap you have there to be able to get that in the nook, because that front blade is up further, giving this the ability to go back to keep the footprint shorter. So you've got this whole edge here that sticks out quite a bit, being able to nook that into places where most mowers, this is almost straight across with where the deck sticks out.
And one other thing I'd like to touch on that we've talked about, the pumps and, you know, that prosumer versus residential versus full-blown commercial. The 3400 pumps on these are a full-blown commercial pump. So like a Hydrogear 2200 non-serviceable residential pump, 2800 is a serviceable residential pump. 3100 is in like the Estate series, so that's what's in like a Toro Titan Max.
Okay.
And that's what's on a Standard B, right?
Right.
But that's the first series that's considered a commercial pump, and then you've got a 32 and then a 34. So you're moving, and then of course, like I said, 38, 4400, and so on and so forth. But I think, as we've demonstrated today, this is anything but just simply a residential unit.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I feel like you could take this out and mow commercially with it and have zero, you know, like I said, I've never tested that for myself, but it doesn't, when I say it's more residential, it's just because the motor series is what you normally put that in.
Yes, exactly.
But then again, you go to like Exmark and their highest end mower comes with 25 horsepower from the factory. So like I said, it all depends on the setup and how well they've made the mower install. And Wright also, this has a striping kit. You can see back here from the factory. So I really like that because you can adjust that. And that's going to give you a really nice stripe straight from the factory, where a lot of mowers do not have that. So I'm going to have him cut this here, and just to see how it does, because this is 24 horsepower and it's a 61-inch deck. He's just going to make a few cuts. I mean, it's cutting pretty good, and he's giving it all the beans. You can tell he's almost wide open there. Watch when he hits this real dense stuff. So I'm gonna catch him on the slow-mo on the way back. As you guys can see, we always do 4 cuts. That gives you to see where your discharge is going. This is a 24 horse motor. It's not even in like the highest end series with the bigger air filters and stuff on it. So you can see here, he did 1, 2, 3. That mower, even in that really thick field grass, was able to kick the discharge all the way over to the force side. And I mean, you can see here there is some scragglers through there, but he was literally giving that thing wide open, not trying to RPM it whatsoever, just like seeing what it would do. So I mean, you could go out and do anything with this mower. To be a $10,000 mower, you're getting great ride. You're probably going to get great fuel, you know, like the fuel consumption on this. I can't imagine that would consume a lot of fuel as a big block would and stuff. And you're getting the high-end deck, all the stuff. This is one of the better riding mowers that I've had on site. Like, I would put this better than my X-Ride probably. It just, to me, just feels really good. I really like it. I'm gonna take the Altoz and do the same thing just to see how it does. Both are 61-inch decks. This has the Evo motor, and that has the 24 horse motor. He's hogging on that thing too. I mean, wide open. And you're not gonna get near the cut going wide open as you are not, but he wants you to see what it can do at full speed. Well, you was absolutely hogging it through them first two, too. I mean, as fast as that thing could go. And you can see its discharge on the last two. And that mower's faster than the Wright. But this will give you an idea of, you know, you could take these out and cut field grass and stuff. The discharge on this was probably second and third. When you get to going fast, your RPM lowers. And you could tell he was dragging that mower about as hard as one could drag it. So discharge is landing on the third and fourth over here. But still yet, once he slowed down on this cut to kind of see, you don't have near the mess as you do on the first three. See those two? But these three right here, he was like wide open pushing it. And this one's a whole lot smoother.